We all know the key theme of the series is freedom. Luffy's definition of Pirate King is the man with most freedom on the seas. To understand what One Piece is, let's go back in time to the Void Century. The Void Century is a gap where many things happen, from Joy Boy leaving his treasure, to the Great Kingdom being destroyed by the 20 Kingdoms, which later formed an alliance known as the World Government. But before we start this video, please smash that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe and click notification bell, or you will miss future anime videos. It was the homeland of the Lunarians, which is currently now known as Mary Joy's. The 20 Kingdoms feared their powers and technology. The Lunarians created a tool that can control and manipulate the weather or environment. This enabled them to always have an advantage in wars, as they had the natural ability to thrive in any conditions. This tool was later called a weapon and was named Uranus. The tool is still in Mary Joy's and is the great treasure that Doflamingo mentioned. After the Lunarians' kingdom was destroyed by the 20 Kingdoms, the 20 Kings formed the World Government and moved into the Lunarians' homeland and renamed it Mary Joy's. The serving Lunarians were enslaved and were put to extremely laborious tasks given their highly durable bodies. The 20 Kings, now known as the Celestial Dragons, utilized the powers of the Devil Fruits to reconstruct the world. During this reconstruction, the sea was split and the Red Line was formed, using Earth Fruit, or Tremor Fruit, and more, by merging hundreds of small islands together. Mary Joy's was placed at the center of this. With the Celestial Dragons now in position and power as the new gods of the world, they wanted to instill a process of governance and control. Ultimately, the purpose was to limit what people can do and to hold dominance over the world. They grew in power and subjugated smaller nations under their banner. This led to an abuse of power and control. Now that we have an idea of what the Great Kingdom was, let's look at Joy Boy. Joy Boy was an explorer or pirate. He hated rules or any forms of restriction. He ventured from one island to another and was known to liberate it from tyranny. The World Government saw him as their greatest enemy, as he had the potential to undo everything they had accomplished. Joy Boy gained a huge following base, and his powers and influence were tremendous. Many nations disliked the new gods and their tyranny, so they created an alliance. Strong nations like Wano and Fishman Island were key members of this alliance. The Nefertari family decided to join this alliance too, as they saw the corruption that grew in the world government. The alliance's purpose was to destroy the newly formed world government and liberate nations which have been forced under its banner. To do this, they needed weapons, Pluton and Poseidon. In an effort to destroy the Red Line, a warship with mass destruction capabilities was created. This warship was constructed on Water 7. It was an immensely huge warship, and due to its size, it couldn't sail on its own. To move this warship, Zunisha was required. Only the heir to the Kazuki clan was able to command Zunisha. This ship was called Pluton. However, Zunisha pulling Pluton would be left vulnerable. This is where the role of Poseidon comes into play. Bestowed with the abilities to control the Sea Kings, the mermaid princess was to use her powers to create a barrier of Sea Kings, which would prevent enemy ships to approach it. Noah was constructed to evacuate civilians during this destruction. Like Pluton, Noah was unable to sail on his own, and the powers of Poseidon was necessary to pull it. A great war engulfed the seas between Joy Boy and his allies versus the power-hungry world government. The world government turned the tides to their favor using Uranus. The war was so immense that it resulted into the formation of the Grand Line and its unpredictable weather, effects of Uranus, and the Calm Belt. Having lost the war, Joy Boy's close companions all adopted the D in their name towards the end of Joy Boy's adventure. The D had multiple meanings. First, it was short for defeat, symbolism, fear, loss. Second, it was a smile or laugh on his side. And third, it was short for dawn, as this is something that occurs as the sun rises, and it will rise again. This relates to the fact that Joy Boy had the mythical sun god fruit, Hita no Mi, Maru Nika. Essentially, the will of D is the will of freedom, and his companions have inherited his will in an effort that one of their descendants will achieve that freedom. One Piece is a plan to restore the world to how it was originally, a single large open sea with no borders, free for everyone to explore regardless of race. To do this, ancient weapons are required to destroy the Red Line. However, that is not all. During the construction of the Red Line, large quantities of gold were buried or stored in it. This is so only the world government has access to it. By destroying the Red Line, an abundance of gold would be released, therefore, giving the smaller or poorer nations a chance to get access to it. As mentioned, One Piece is a plan to restore the world, and in doing so, there are a large number of civilians which need to evacuate it. This requires Poseidon aka Shirahoshi, who at the time was yet to be born. The last phase of the plan, and the main reason why Joy Boy wanted to do it, is so he could have the biggest swimming pool party ever with all the races from all ends of the world invited. However, he can't actually swim due to his devil fruit.